Welcome to Rawcast AD. I'm your host, Doug Peterson, recording in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, a nice, quaint little trailer park. Today's episode 20, if I remember correctly, and for the first time, bringing one of my former colleagues from my cellular days, Zach Hackman, to my living room to have a nice sit-down chat. And kind of going along the same theme of last week, episode 19 with Nathan, uh, Zach and I did not really have an agenda in mind. Naturally, we met working at a Verizon store. We mentioned it on the episode, but we had met years prior during my college days, going downtown and drinking a little bit too much on the weekends. But honestly, I didn't remember Zach at the time, so maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, because then we met through selling cellular devices and accessories at Verizon. He helped show me the ropes around there. We got along pretty well. He quickly became a friend, somebody that you definitely keep in touch with, even if you don't work together anymore, because we both have moved on to bigger and better things. But again, this is going to be the king of tangents. This is basically the tangency episode where Zach and I talk about cellular and days downtown drinking. It goes all over the place, ups, downs, twists, turns. Again, if you cannot follow along, my apologies, but this was a second week in a row where it was nice to just sit down with no agenda and have an open, loose conversation with one hell of a guy. So let's check out that talk with Zach. All right, here we go, man. Sitting down with my buddy Zach, who hails from my Verizon days and apparently in more of a drunken haze back in the college days down at Brick House Tavern. Welcome to Rawcast, a.k.a. my living room, man.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
So we were just talking about where we should start off because we always end up on about a dozen tangents. So just a heads up to everybody that's going to listen to this. If your head's spinning by the end of it, there's a good chance we did our jobs having a good conversation because we can never stay on point, it seems.
Master of digression.
It is. That's what I loved about Verizon. We'd walk out back, have a cigarette, and just talk about, cell phone games, man. You showed me a couple pretty sweet cell phone games, and that made the time go by much faster.
You get bored a lot, especially at that store.
Yeah, that was a tough gig for me at times. I know you say, because you worked at more than one different carrier.
Oh, yeah. And the ADD on the slow days definitely doesn't help anything out.
Do you actually have ADD?
Probably.
You're just going with it? Sorry, I'm adjusting your mic because it's a little quiet.
Yeah.
Let's test it out again, Zach.
All right. How's it look this time?
You're better. You're better.
All right, that works for me.
The last guy talked a little bit louder than you.
Yeah.
Because we did a different recording. That's the one with Nathan. Yeah. I don't know what order I'm putting them in yet.
Certainly strange and not exactly soft-spoken.
Oh, no, it'll get louder as we go.
Boisterous asshole.
Boisterous asshole. That's what was on your Verizon business cards, man.
It was.
But no, we worked there at a time where it seemed pretty slow for the most part. We could get a good vibe going where it'd be like, yeah, let's have fun with it. But for the most part, it was sit and wait for the next person to roll in.
Yeah, well, you'd have those days where you get busy, and then you'd have those days where you eat an entire Topper's pizza because you have nothing to do.
Oh, dude, that is how I gained 50 pounds in 1 year.
Yeah, that's how I ended up being 210 pounds from 160.
Well, when you get a 50% off deal with your neighboring pizza shop, it's tough. But then the money, the sky's the limit with the money, guys. Every sales job's going to tell you that.
Yeah, you're going to be rich, man. You're going to be rich.
But when you've got days where nobody comes through the door, there's nothing going on there.
Yeah, well, you love those open to close shifts where, you order Toppers just to talk to someone for 15 seconds.
You don't even eat it? That was good.
Can you guys just come over here and hang out with me for a little bit on your break?
Like I literally said to people when they came in, I'm like, "Are you sure you're in the right place? Like this is the day nobody comes here."
Yeah. Sorry, it's been 8 hours and I haven't seen anyone, and now I don't feel like dealing with anyone. Come back tomorrow.
But this is actually our first time sitting down together in quite a while. Because you went off to a different job while I was working down in Madison
Yeah, stuck in hell.
for the same company. Yeah, it was worthwhile. I have no regrets, but let's just say I learned a lot. Because
And most of those weren't good things.
well, you got to think in the area we live in, and I'm sorry if there are any like middle-aged to senior people listening to this. I don't know why. Fox News is on the right. But basically to have people come in with certain questions. And I know we were mentioning this earlier that I never had a problem with somebody coming in and being like, "Hey, I'm having an issue with this. I'm not sure how to use it." Or like I felt bad when people were apologetic, like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just too stupid for this." It's like, no, you're not stupid. I've literally done this 10,000 times. You've seen it for 2 days.
Well, and a lot of times it's a different generation. You know, I mean, we weren't all raised in the age of technology.
Now there are certain people that had no business having smartphones.
Yeah. But there's also a lot of old people who know how to operate them better than I do.
Oh God, yeah. I did have a retired college professor come in, and he was like talking to me about the specs on the iPhone to the point that I was just like, call Apple customer service, man. Like I have no idea.
You lost me 10 minutes ago, dude.
Like I know just enough to sell the thing. Usually with an Apple product, you just got to turn it around and be like, look, Apple.
Well, it's an iPhone. I know just enough to make most people not buy them and get a decent phone.
We were really good about that for a long time. And you were already gone by the time the iPhone 7 launch came, right?
Yeah. I was over at the other place.
I I sold a lot that day. I had to use a computer station where the scanner didn't work, so I had to, instead of scanning barcodes, I had to type it all in on the keyboard.
Practice that 10 keypad stroke.
I sold the most that day out of the 3 people working. I was typing everything in by hand, and I don't think I sold a single iPhone that day. I sold Motorola's and Samsungs on iPhone launch. No, sorry, Black Friday. iPhone launch, yeah, I sold like 3 iPhones and the rest were Galaxy S7s.
Yeah, I think when we grabbed the iPhone 7, we had like 40 of them in stock. And
Because you had switched to a different Verizon
switched to a
company.
different Verizon, different carrier agent for Verizon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did a really good job of not selling them. Lots of Moto Zs.
The Moto Zs, I mean, where you were working with the reception and everything, that was kind of a necessity, though.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't brave enough to go work over there. Like, when you know that in central Wisconsin, the more trees you add, the tougher it is with Verizon. Because by the time I actually left Verizon, the reception was getting worse. Not saying that it was god awful, but
It's still better than
It was dumbed
AT&T or
down.
Sprint, but I'm up by work and like I have to put in airplane mode when I leave work and turn it off just to get 4G.
Yeah.
And I'm 5 minutes from my house in the center of Stevens Point.
exactly I have to use Wi-Fi calling out here.
So, my Wi-Fi calling doesn't even work on that wonderful Galaxy that I have. If I turn on my Wi-Fi calling, it answers for a second and then automatically hangs up.
But see, and I love the people that we worked with because we all knew enough about the phones. We could talk about, like, have an educated conversation. But I had a lady call me one time at the store asking how she makes a phone call on her iPhone. Well, turns out she's on her fucking iPhone calling the store asking how to make a phone call. Like, do you know how hard it... Luckily, it was over the phone and not face-to-face. But I was just like, well, you do what you did to call me, but use a different phone number. Like,
Yeah, it was nice because, you work with cool people. You could always have a good time. Like, we all had BAs and BS, so...
yeah, pretty much. That is what was great about it. Like, sales, to just be able to talk your way into making money was fun. But I I have no regrets for leaving sales.
I am so much happier now that I'm not in sales at the new job. Like, one of the opportunities I had was potentially to go to like the sales department, and I was just like, no, I'll sit at my desk, listen to music all day, and
Do you feel your spine stiffen when they mention it?
so. It's not necessarily a spine stiffening. It's more of a visceral reaction.
I feel you, man. Because like, it was funny because I leave cellular retail and I go into financial, but it's still technically sales. And in cellular retail, you have your Excel spreadsheet that the district manager sends you, and like the good numbers are in green, the bad ones are in red. And I remember way too much red out there. Let's turn some of these boxes green. And I'm like, I am an adult, and you guys are using like color in the lines to entice me.
3 more lines and you get a gold star.
That's how I felt. I felt like I was being treated like a child. Like, you can have these 2 Skittles if you make it happen. But then I go to the next job and I'm like, way more money, way better benefits, weekends off, like, it was a big boy job kind of thing. In like day 2, email from the district manager, way too much red out there. And I'm like, fucking sales is the same everywhere.
Everywhere.
And so that job obviously didn't last, but like now I'm going into a job where I don't see too much advancement, but performance-based pay raises, which I like the idea of. It has nothing to do with sales. I'll have client support at best, but then I'm going to be doing accounting, working with numbers all day.
Yeah, well, and if you know you can make the performance, I mean, a job like that's basically just betting on yourself. It's like sales without having to talk to people.
Doesn't that sound amazing in
It
itself? Because by the time I left cellular retail, I felt like Clerks. Like, God, this job would be so great if it wasn't for all the goddamn customers.
Yep. I feel like that about life lately, man. Like,
really?
Yeah, like from the bar flyer that I was, 8-10 years ago, like, gotta be out every night of the week, gotta bartend, gotta be talking to people. Now it's just like, I finally decided to go out one night, and they're like 15 minutes. I'm like, why the fuck did I leave my house? I'm going home. Like, there are people here.
Yeah.
At least at home, the only time I have to talk to people is if I'm beating them at video games.
I do have to ask a personal question, man. Is that a little bit of anxiety, or is that just a little bit of getting older and not wanting to put up with bullshit?
It's the getting older and not wanting to put up with bullshit. I mean, I'm not anxious about much in life, especially dealing with people after all the years in sales and bartending and everything, but it's just really not wanting to deal with bullshit.
I just recently stopped getting invites to, go downtown. Like, I mean, come on. Like, when I get people going, hey, when's the next time you're coming to Madison? Hey, when's the next time you're coming to Chicago? Hey, let's go downtown. I just go, yeah.
I was in Madison like 4 months ago, and I didn't even tell anyone I went there. I was there for like 4 days. I didn't even let a single person know I was going to Madison.
So that was like, a you trip.
So, yeah, I went down there to see one specific friend, help him do some moving and stuff. And he's like, well, what do you want to do? You want to meet up with some people? You want to go to like the bar? I was like, well, I brought the Xbox. You want to just play some video games and not leave? Like, I went down to Madison.
That sounds way better, doesn't it?
I went down to Madison to do the same thing I do at my house.
Except way more money.
Yeah.
God, drinking in Madison, that tapped me out a couple times.
It's not hard, man.
No, it's not. And Chicago is even worse.
Oh, yeah. Well, Chicago, you can at least find the hole in the wall. Like, that is 250 bottles of beer, somewhere. But
well, that's because it's expired by 5 years.
Well, still good.
Dude, seriously, like, people in Chicago, I don't think they really drink that much beer overall.
No. They're not from Wisconsin.
It's so tough. So tough.
I have friends who moved down there from Wisconsin 5-10 years ago, and they come back up here, and I'm like, it's like you were never here. You're 2 beers in, you're slurring your speech. Like,
they've changed? Oh.
I mean, I can't really talk. I had a whiskey on Wednesday night, and not even like a good strong whiskey, like a 1 shot in a glass with a little bit of mixer, and I was ready for bed after that one. Like,
no, see, I had posted on Facebook about how I had lost, a bunch of weight, but then, went 3 months without drinking. I was telling you this earlier before we hit record, and my chair squeaks a lot. But I go up to Eagle River, Wisconsin for the National Championship Muskie Open every August. And so this is the first time I'm having beer in like, 3 months. And of course I hit it hard. I'm like, yeah, yeah. Well, apparently my body doesn't like it as
No.
much anymore because there was one night where didn't eat as much as I should have, so I didn't have that good base. But I ended up having like 5 beers and my stomach completely filled with foam.
Yep.
And so, like, it was a bouncy enough ride back to the cabin that by the time we parked, I just got up and threw up foam. And, like, I was good after that because then I went and ate, had another beer, and then passed out.
But you haven't done that since the last time you did a beer bong.
I never did a beer bong. That's the thing, man.
No, I meant like in college days.
I never.
Really?
Not once. But I know what you're saying because I've seen it happen. And it's like, that's exactly what it felt like. It's like, I spaced these 5 beers out over like 4 hours. There's no way it should be that bad.
Yeah. Oh, and you get those wonderful things as you get older where you go out, you have a few beers, you don't even catch a buzz, but you wake up hungover as shit.
Oh, God.
You just feel like you just got hit by a bus and all you did was have 2 beers and a shot in 4 hours.
That's what's sad, man, because there's nights that I was able to drink like a 12-pack, wake up and feel like a spring chicken. And like you said, 2-3 beers, and I wake up and I'm like, you feel like you just slept with your neck all kinked up.
Younger days, man. My philosophy, is every once in a while you do have one of those nights where you go out and you get tanked, but you got to do it just to remind yourself why you don't do it more often.
Exactly.
Because
it's the sacrament.
I don't know about you, but I have a good tie-on night, and it's 6 months before I'm feeling right enough to have a drink again.
Oh, exactly. I do have to. I can feel it when you're like feeling antsy. You're like, I just gotta get fucked up. Like, I gotta. And then you act like you're excited for it, but then you quickly get to that point and realize I didn't want this.
Yep.
By that point, it's way too late. Enjoy the ride, and good luck tomorrow.
But you can, because you instantly go, the next 3 days are going to suck, and it's like a sobering effect. You're just like, all right, I got to try to be sober enough to not be hungover, but you're like 12 beers past that point. And
my longest hangover was 3 full days.
Yep.
Like, I didn't think that was possible. I was asking my college roommate if I should go to the hospital. Like, at the very least, give this kid an IV. Oh, that's the good stuff.
That's the good stuff. A little bit of that saline just to,
like
to brighten you up.
When they were doing that. Oh, man.
Yeah, a little of that saline solution.
I wish we could. But alas, we have to just try to... Like, what's your best hangover cure?
God, I've gone through a number of them over the years. Like, it changes as you...
It changes, yeah.
Yeah, it changes as you age.
A greasy breakfast used to do it, and now it just sits weird.
I honestly don't think I even have a hangover cure anymore, because I've tried just about everything, and I still want to die. Like, 2 gallons of water, greasy breakfast, or I heard some pickle juice works. Nope, still going to feel like shit regardless.
Yeah, because I puked 2 nights. And again, in case my mom's listening, it's not that I was too drunk. It's that my body was not used to this. Because, I had a few beers the first night, woke up, and that was one of those nights where you slept like crap, but then you wake up feeling hungover even though you didn't drink that much. Yeah. So I popped 2 Aleve, and apparently, I haven't taken ibuprofen or anything in like 6 months. I try to stay away from that stuff.
Yeah, I try not to take anything if I can help it.
So this is the first thing I'm taking in a long time. 2 Aleve on an empty stomach, and it's the liquid gel caps. Well, apparently in the 5 to 10 minutes between me taking those and going to eat breakfast, they had already, like, split open, and that immediately turned into foam. And so I ended up puking bloody foam the first morning of fishing, and then the very next night just straight up beer foam.
Just upset from your stomach from it's like smoking. If you don't have a cigarette for 3 months, you could smoke a pack in a night when you're a regular smoker. You don't smoke for 3 months and you have 2 cigarettes, and the next day, you can't even talk. You're just
you feel like somebody cheese grated your throat.
Yeah, it's what your body gets used to. It's it's the reverse of exercise.
Like, it really is.
Yeah.
Like, I feel extra crappy today. Yeah. Let's see how bad it can get. Because I gained enough weight coming back from that trip that it's like I reached a comfortable point where I was like, yeah, I feel athletic. I can move around pretty quickly. Don't get winded.
A set of stairs doesn't want to make you pass out.
Exactly. But I ended up gaining it in a week and a half, 14 pounds. And like, that's just enough for me to just be like,
Yes. Yeah, you're just back to that point where you're like, I just consider this weight training.
I'll slip on my shoes and consider it weight.
Yeah. Who needs to buy a weight belt?
I wanted ankle weights.
Just gotta put on 20 pounds and start running again.
I wanted ankle weights, so I ate donuts instead. Because you've lost some weight, man. What kind of workout do you do?
Well,
cardio. You hit in the gym.
The first 20 pounds wasn't induced by any sort of workout. It was induced by not sleeping and not eating for a while.
External forces.
So, yeah, external forces. Since then, I mean, it's just been kind of a mix of everything. I go through my slumps like everyone, you know. I'll hit the gym hard for 3 weeks, and then for a month, I'm just like, you know what? I've got a couch here. Little running and stuff. We went to Green Bay for the Packer 5K and stuff. And
right on, man.
I hung out in Lambeau Field with the Jumbotron for all the runners and stuff. And
I'm not a huge fan of Lambeau, so...
Don't start with me, boy. But yeah, I mean, it's you got to have kind of a balance. You know, like I was saying earlier, I kind of hit that plateau where, you know, 25 pounds in now, it's the rest of it's going to be harder to lose. And
that is the magic number, though. Like 25 to 30 pounds of weight loss, your body, like, for whatever reason, wants to plateau. It's like, for whatever reason, your body's falsely putting itself in, like, a starvation mode. And so... Yeah. Like I told you, for me, it was like 1 to 2 days of eating like crap and then jumping back on the ketogenic bandwagon to get there. I'm like halfway to my goal. I want to get back to that 155, 160 range because I'm 5'2".
Yeah. I'm looking for about the 170 to 175 range is kind of where I've been calling my goal weight, but it's not just getting down to that weight, you know. It's getting down to that weight and not just having it all be slightly less fat than what you had before. Like
you want to look toned.
In theory, you'd like to put a little muscle on there, not hey, your muffin top doesn't hang out as much as it used to.
It's tucked in your pants. Oh my god, man.
Yeah, I could fit into a size 28 jean if I hug them down around my hips. But wear those low riders and a long shirt. Keep everything tucked in real nice with a belt.
That is so awesome. You have to have a Donald Trump tie then, so that it doesn't look too stupid.
Yeah,
do you see those memes?
There's some work that goes into it. What memes? There's
the Donald Trump memes with the ties.
I don't think I have.
Like, his ties seem to be ridiculously long, so naturally the internet has to exaggerate that. And so, you know, there were pictures of, like, Angela Merkel from, you know, Chancellor from Germany, standing with Trump and all these other world leaders. And, like, his tie would be, like, down and then over the person's shoulder next to him, stuff like that.
I don't know if you've really looked at ties. They don't make multiple sizes. Like, a tie on a little person is a tie on a little person. Like...
True.
Whether you're Shaq or, you know, you're Peter Dinklage, like, it's unless you're getting them custom made, they're all the same length pretty much.
Pretty much, but Donald Trump likes the longer tie. If you look at it, and so, you know, the way they exaggerated was just hilarious to me because like the tie was set to look like it was your arm around somebody's shoulder, but it's Donald Trump's tie. Like real, you know, a lot of memes going against Trump, and it's
well,
I get it.
It's the difference in administration. You got the Obama-Biden memes that were just wonderful and hilarious and not mocking, and then you have the Trump memes, which are just awful and derogatory, but somehow still even funnier than the Biden memes.
Yeah. I mean, did you see that he went down to Houston and then like got nowhere near the recovery efforts, and then just talked about how great the crowd was?
Yeah. Like, the crowd was great 60 miles from Houston. It was a good time.
The damage is that way.
I helped some people out. Not flood victims, but some people.
These people needed a picture with me, so I helped them out. Oh, The guy's full of crap. But I mean, to be honest with you, I used to be really into politics, and for whatever reason, since he got elected, I read the news, but I just keep my mouth shut. I have not talked politics with somebody in quite a while.
It's not something I practice on a daily basis, or I didn't when it came to politics before Trump got elected. But at a certain point with the stupidity, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. That's exactly where I'm at. You know, when I see people going up in arms on Facebook, and I just go,
I've got good blood pressure. I'm getting back in shape. I don't need to read another Trump story and blow a vein. Like,
oh yeah, I hear you.
Because that'll ruin a day.
'Cause I remember talking with our manager Mike from Verizon on election night. I was working with him, and we actually talked about how there's no way he's gonna win. There's no way. It just doesn't make sense. And the next day, show up to work, and he's just like, I don't fucking get it. Because well, I mean, it is what it is. You know, I've made peace with it, but there's a lot of stupid shit going on.
There's a lot of stupid people going on.
That's basically it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone got
shit.
I don't think how anyone got Trump winning, because everyone who voted for him didn't even know what was going on.
Yeah, basically. Those were the ignorance is bliss people. They like came out and they're like, hey, this Trump guy says we should be angry, and we is. There's going to be at least 2 Trump voters out there that listen to this, and they're like, you're an asshole.
We're going to get some comments on it, but it's the way it goes. It's called an opinion.
Typically, people comment by just, like, direct messaging me. They never seem to want to post it publicly, which is fine.
Remember that when you say something that pisses me off, I'm just going to blow you up for a week and a half. Just hate mail.
You have to listen to it.
Zach style hate mail. Oh,
Zach
ouch.
style.
Zach style hate mail. Like, hey, Doug, you suck. Hey, you're not very tall.
When you sold things, you did it badly.
I can't even say that because I helped train you. Like,
yeah, I know.
That's a poor reflection of like, hey, that guy who trained you is an asshole. Shit.
Well, of course, you know, there was somebody else we worked with who had to take credit for it. I was the one that trained you. It's like, no way, man. Zach and Oli did. It was like the good idea, bad idea thing, but the first 2 weeks of my training was bad idea.
And to be fair, he did teach you how to properly slack off in the office.
Yeah. Oh man, I mean there were fun times.
So many memes, so many random ass songs played. So.
I remember the first day of just working one-on-one, and I get home, my wife's like, "How was your first day?" I'm like, "It's actually pretty cool. We looked at memes for like 2 hours today." And then 2 weeks later, I'm like, this is every day. No.
Can't really blame him for that, man, though.
No.
Like, there's nothing else to do.
No, because we ended up being the same, but we had our own vices.
Yeah.
Like, there's pictures of me having the back door of Verizon propped open, and I'm sitting in a lawn chair out the back.
See, I never did the lawn chair thing, but I'd stand out there and smoke 4 or 5 cigarettes on slow days and just...
Well, see, eventually got to the point that I was the only one that would smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, after me and Katie were gone.
And so, like, that became kind of my spot. And I would just... It was only
Doug's
on
domain.
really beautiful days I would just... You know, because there was a ledge from the actual parking lot up into the building. So it was just perfect to use that part of the store as the leg rest and sit in my chair. And because of how the front and back door were lined up,
you could see right to the front door.
You could see right through the front door.
That's...
The only thing that was missing was an ice cold beer, dude.
Work smarter, not harder, Doug.
Oh, God. So good. Well, especially working open and to close by yourself. If somebody comes in and sees you doing that, if they're a good person, down to earth, that's a conversation starter right there. You've already started working on that sale. Now, if they come in and they're a bad person, you've already turned them off to the idea of working with you. Probably for the best.
Yeah, probably.
The owners would say otherwise, but at that point, you don't want to deal with a snippy woman or man.
Full circle back to why I never leave my house anymore.
I know. That's the thing, is the more public jobs that I worked, the more I stayed at home in my off time. It got to the point where I didn't even want to do grocery shopping. My wife, like, agreed solely because she goes, well, with Amazon, you're an impulse shopper. Like, stuff will show up to the house that she didn't
That's
know I
how
ordered.
Amazon makes their money, is impulse shopping.
That one-click buy crap,
Yep.
that's a death sentence. It's kind of like freemium cell phone games.
Yep.
Oh, there's in-app purchases, but the app is free.
Yeah, I don't have to use in-app purchases. Oh, wait, now I'm addicted. Here's $40. Take my money.
Yeah, because it's easy. You're converting real money into fake money, but how real is your money if it's in your checking
To
account?
this day, I can buy Google Play money with my thumbprint.
Yeah.
It's that easy.
Like, they make it easier and easier to spend money. But to me, that's what kind of keeps us down. Because, I didn't want to have the Charter bundle, where they love to sell you the TV package with internet and phone.
$30 a piece, man. It's only $90, and then they jack it up to $140.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're very good at that. I love Charter customer service. I am thrilled with them.
As someone from Charter is listening, is going to cut the internet.
Well, they usually do that around 10 o'clock, so we got time. But, no, it was always cheaper. It was like $20 a month for internet. Well, naturally, that got jacked up to $56. And they won't play ball with us. I did the yearly, or my wife did the yearly call them up and complain and get that lower price. They won't work with us.
Monopoly.
Monopoly.
Not just a game anymore.
Yeah, it's do not pass go, do not collect 200 downloads. Go to hell, Charter.
But I have this nifty little trick is how to not spend all the unnecessary money on that stupid stuff.
How's that?
You don't have money to spend.
Oh, wow. You're riding the broke train.
Yeah.
Well, my point is, okay, so it was cheaper for me to get chartered internet, not do the bundle, not do the cable package, whatever. But then you get Netflix.
$10.
For the package I have, it's $15. And then, Netflix doesn't quite cut it because sometimes you spend more time scrolling through Netflix than actually watching.
Time for Hulu.
So, okay, now that's another $15, so you're at $30 on top of your internet charges. But wait a minute. You also like to order stuff from Amazon.
Might as well go Prime.
Well, we also have that Prime Video. So I have to actually be careful with my kids because if they open up an Amazon Prime tab and I'm already logged in and they click on a movie they want, but it's $20, Amazon goes, instantly. Here you go.
Have it, yeah.
And I've gotten lucky with that through the Google Play Store on a cell phone before. But when it comes to, actually it was a tablet, but whatever. But I don't want the kids doing that because you know how fast you can spend money on Amazon?
I've been on Amazon before, yes, I'm aware.
It is ridiculous.
Should have seen the amount of money I spent when I was a year on disability.
Well, when you're laid up on the couch, whatever.
Yep. Oh, I want a new video game. What, it's only $30? I haven't hit my free shipping yet? Oh, I'll get this DVD. And oh, this sounds like a good game too. And oh, I didn't pick up season 3 of this show. $175 later.
Right. Well, then I always heard of how great Steam sales were. I like playing PC games. Consoles, I just fell behind on. Once you have kids, unless you're making a lot of money, I don't know how you have current systems.
Yeah. My roommate's got a current system, therefore I have a current system. That's the way I do it.
Yeah, by default, it works. Yep. You have a domestic partnership.
He doesn't have a child, yeah.
Well, that's the thing is, I have flesh and blood to take care of. I'm going to play your video games.
Yeah.
That's just how it's going to work, man. But, so I get set up with a Steam account. Steam sales were going on earlier this year. The Steam sales are not that great.
No.
I still don't want to spend $50 for 2 games. This is 40% off. And it's and that's still 60% too high for what I want to spend.
It's not any better on consoles. You get that. Oh, we have this game that's normally $35 on sale for $25. Yep. Great deal. Let's do it. No.
Which it's still a good deal, but I know I haven't StarCraft 2 and then haven't played any other video games really. So I thought, well, if I buy 5 or 6 games, that's all my entertainment through the winter. I'm still a busy guy, but I will not run out, guaranteed. No, I'm not spending that much money.
Not even for a second. That's why even when I play like on the PC, for the most part, I try to play the free ones.
The free ones or the classics that you already have.
Yeah, or I like the emulators and stuff. But like PC, like since it came out, I've been kind of the nerd on occasion for League of Legends.
I never played that or have yet to play that.
It's actually pretty entertaining. Like, and when you play it, there's a couple things to know always. And the first is that the community is the worst gaming community in the world. It's nothing but a bunch of 12-year-olds typing profanities and telling you how much you suck, and it's bad. It's almost enough of a reason not to play the game, except that I trash talk better than 12-year-olds.
I used to work sales, man.
So, yeah, but
Did you ever get fresh with customers?
I've gotten fresh with customers before plenty of times.
Oh yeah, man. I love it.
But better than fresh is kill them with kindness.
Oh,
You get a really pissed off asshole walking out the door, and you say, "Have a great day, sir," and then you watch them turn a different shade of red that you've never seen before.
and you feel good about it, though. You have to.
Oh, always.
Because it's so facetious. But that's what I loved about certain things. Like, because the majority of people in cellular are Android. And I know we're bouncing back to a different topic, but it just, to me, it felt good because I got good enough at the job that eventually, like, so a guy would come in, and I remember working with Joe Bush, who was on a previous episode of Rawcast. That was the God Hope episode. He had an iPhone, but he was working with me, and he hates iPhones too. You know, he made a decision because it was on sale and regretted it ever since. iPhone guy comes in, and he recognized pretty quickly that iPhone users are typically the ones that are kind of tool-like. The guy comes in with his smashed iPhone and needs a new phone. He's upgrade eligible, awesome. Start talking about new phones, and naturally I'm trying to sell him what we call the target phone. Trying to get him away from Apple because it's a death sentence. And then finally I go, I can't talk you out of Apple, can I? He goes, no, man, I love Apple Music. And I go, oh, really? Do you keep a lot of music on there? He's like, yeah, dude, I keep like all my music on my phone. Apple Music's great. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome, man. Play us something. And pointed at his busted ass phone. And he just looks at me like confused but kind of pissed. And then just cracks a smile.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, that's when the iPhone 3 released. I was with AT&T.
going back in time.
Going way back in time. Dating myself a little bit here.
The iPhone 3.
And you don't know how many people, hey, Apple Care, it's expensive as balls, but it's worth it. Oh, no, that's such a ripoff. The first week the son of a bitch came out, I had 3 people walk out the door and drop their iPhone and come back in and be
parking lot?
in the parking lot and come back in with a shattered phone. Hey, is there anything you guys can do for this? Nope, you didn't go for the Apple Care, dumbass. So what am I supposed to do?
Pay the balance?
Sell them retail for $600.
Yep. Oh, I did get tired of, the majority of people I worked with in terms of our customers or clients were great people. There's some of them that when I left, I actually had a few of them give me their personal cards and stuff like that. I'd be like, hey, keep in touch outside of this job, because the relationships, since they were regulars, became much more than just a clientele basis.
Yeah, well, as a salesman, you can meet, talk to, and enjoy almost anybody's company.
Exactly.
After only talking for an hour and a half.
But then there was a small portion of people that made it so ungodly awful. Like, one dude would come in, and I've seen him. He lives in this area, man. It's like, I was driving to work one day, and then I see him turn the corner and look at me as he recognized me, and I'm just like, oh, God, no. But he never understood personal space, the bubble. So if you were doing something to fix his phone because he accidentally deleted an app and downloaded some virus.
Just halfway up your ass, checking it out.
Totally, dude. You can feel him breathing on your cheek, and he smells really bad because he works a job where you just end up smelling like septic tank. It's ridiculous. So those types, you just constantly be like, how'd that shit get on there? Because you downloaded it, man. Yes. I didn't download shit. Get that shit off there. It's like you'd
I don't know
spend.
where 6 gigs of porn came from. That wasn't me.
I had a 75-year-old man do that, dude. I checked this dude's account and stuff like that because I'm trying to upsell him on something. He came in with a phone problem. And so I check into it. He's like, "What is this?" And I go to look. And it's in Chrome. He's got a problem with Chrome. So I open up Chrome and it opens up basically what open Chrome folders he has. You can't miss the Pornhub logo. I don't care if you don't watch porn. You know what the Pornhub logo looks like.
If you've ever watched a sitcom in the last 5 years, you know what the Pornhub logo looks like.
Right? And so this old man just looks at me, gets a little red in the face, and goes, "I don't know what that is." And here's the problem I have with that is I got to keep a straight face now because I want this guy to make sure that he doesn't leave feeling humiliated. But I'm not going to like let him know, "Yeah, I like that too."
Yeah.
But
I have that same link.
he plays dumb to me, but the search on Pornhub was very specific. It was like brunette with big tits. Like you weren't looking at Fox News and all of a sudden Pornhub's like, "I bet you'd like these videos."
Yeah. I don't even know how to use that website. Then why is your search Jenna Jameson DP?
Right? and so I was like, "Well, that's weird. I wonder how that got on there."
Those are fun customers though too. Like
I eventually, because the guy wouldn't come clean and then he wouldn't like drop it because you could still tell that he felt stupid but wanted to save his dignity, but there was no way. Just made a couple more excuses. I fixed the problem with his browser and went, "Mm-hmm." Gave him the phone and went, "Have a good day, sir."
yeah.
Like, we ran into some funny stuff, but then you always had... You never knew what you were going to deal with.
Oh yeah, and he was even worse before you worked in cell phones, like my U.S. Cellular days, when most people didn't have smartphones, when the first Androids were just coming out. And
well, explain that, because I worked with a Verizon agent for just over a year. You had actually worked at U.S. Cellular, which is a Wisconsin regional carrier. AT&T.
Very briefly at AT&T because their service sucks.
It's terrible up here.
And I started out running an Alltel on the same building that we worked in Verizon together back in 2007. So a decade ago already.
So then Alltel, then what? Verizon?
Alltel, U.S. Cellular, Verizon were the big ones.
So you've had a lot of experience in cellular.
Yeah, decade of cellular experience. So back in the old days, there wasn't an easy way to transfer pictures.
Yep.
You couldn't just pop a memory card over. You had to go in and individually select every picture that you wanted to copy and Bluetooth them over.
No way. You couldn't use the Celebrite?
So you could on some of them, but certain models weren't available for it yet, like newer phones or older phones.
Yep.
You know, either you didn't have a cord for the older ones or the new ones weren't updated in the system to be used by it yet.
Yep.
So you got this guy who comes in with his girlfriend with 800 pictures on there, and half of them are her in precarious situations. And you got to go through and individually click on every one.
You know,
and then transfer 20 at a time by a Bluetooth.
I did have it pretty slick. By that point, they had an app where you had linked the two phones using the Verizon app and selected what you wanted to transfer and hit OK. That was slick. I don't know how... Didn't you have to do paper contracts back then, too? Or were you already on the digital age?
It was already on the digital age for a lot of it, but especially with U.S. Cellular, I handled a lot of... ministry health lines, and those all were signed by the same person. They had one person in charge of all of it, so those pretty much all had to be paper contracts. We'd have to, write everything out, send them over to her, and she'd sign them and send them back to us.
It's worthwhile for a business account that size.
Yeah, and well, it was the greatest account ever because half the times you'd have to drive phones to Marshfield and stuff. You just take your afternoon off and go drive over to Marshfield to drop off five Motorola Quanticos. Yeah,
I'll admit it was nice because we had a sister store over in Wisconsin Rapids. So, I mean, basically like a 20, 25-minute drive from store to store. I would say.
So if you're trying to get there fast.
Yeah, well, that's if you're certain people doing 90 down 66. But yeah, I mean, realistically, I was able to make it in like half hour, 35
Yeah,
minutes.
that's
Comfortably. And I was still kind of going a little fast, which is dumb on that highway because it's heavily forested and there's not much light.
That's where I hit my turkey.
Yep. So at night, there's all kinds of wildlife coming out. But it was nice, especially if you got in at 9 o'clock, trying to be that early bird, get everything done, make the store look nice. And then by like 8 o'clock at night, both your stores are rocked and you're driving over to the other one to pick up inventory. It was like a curse, but still a blessing in disguise because you're like, I'm going to go smoke a few cigarettes, drive over to the store. There's no reception between those two stores.
Yep.
So
just crank the tunes and cruise.
Exactly it. But I mean, getting out of sales, like, what changed with you that you feel happier? What did you not like, or what did you like leaving behind, I guess I should say?
Hours is always a big thing in sales.
Yeah, the retail schedule.
Those late nights, those long weekends, holidays, and all that fun stuff.
Early mornings, late nights.
So that's probably the thing I noticed first off was, hey, I'm done at 5 o'clock at the latest every single day, Monday through Friday, and Saturdays and Sundays are off every single week. I don't have to check my schedule if someone wants to do something.
A set routine.
Yeah, it's nice to have that set routine.
Oh, man. Especially with you having a kid. Like, I had to be out of that schedule because my oldest is starting kindergarten, next week. Well, yeah, I can't remember the episode order. This one could be airing a week after. Ooh.
Oh, never
I
know.
might have committed. But no, with the kid going to school and a retail schedule, like, there were times where we get busy on a Monday night. Like, I don't want to be picking my kid up from the babysitters at 9:30 at night. You know, I didn't get to have dinner with him. I didn't get to help him with his homework, any of that stuff.
Yeah, and another thing that I really, really noticed about it was having that set time to go home. That was a big thing for me, you know, because you probably remember, you know, my ex and I, like, we'd have plans for dinner at 6, you know, and I get done at 5, and at 4:55, 8 people walk into the store, and there I sit till 8 o'clock at night.
Yep.
Just screwed with a pissed off girlfriend because we can't go grab food that had plans for. You know, it's nice, you know, 5 o'clock hits, that as soon as 4:59 ticks over.
Yep.
Lock the computer and out the door. Doesn't matter if I have, you know, stuff done that I need to. It'll wait till tomorrow or it'll wait till Monday.
You know that it's time for you to get out when you start having that mentality, though.
And the last thing definitely has to be the scaling back of customer interaction on such a regular basis.
Which doesn't mean he's, you know, a shitty person.
Yeah, I like people as a general rule, you know. I mean,
I've decided I can only handle so many people per day.
You know, it's just mentally taxing. Like, it has nothing to do with the people themselves. It's just a million different things
You're
going on.
You're getting peppered with a bunch of different personalities and emotions throughout the day.
Yep, and it takes its toll on you eventually. You know, it's nice. Yeah, I mean, I sit next to coworkers, talk to coworkers, you know.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes down to it, I put my headphones in, turn around to my computer, do my work, and not have to worry about it. I get a phone call from an employer here and there, and I enjoy it now.
Yeah.
Because I'm not doing it 40 times in a day, you know.
Exactly.
100 times in a week where I'm dealing with people.
You're not cold calling these people. These are your partners.
Yeah.
You know?
These are, hey, sorry, I forgot to send that in. My bad. Hey, don't even worry about it, man. Just get it to me as soon as you can. All right, it'll be there in 5 minutes. Cool, you have a good weekend, you too. Just a nice, you know, interaction with someone you don't get to talk to. And for me, I mean, a lot of times they're all over halfway across the country.
Yeah.
You know, there are emails I send out where I got to check to see where this business is because I don't want to say morning here when it's over in, you know, Maine and it's 2 p.m. there.
That's a good point, man. That is a very good point. Yeah. There was something liberating about it for me by leaving retail in general, I guess. I reached a point where the sky's the limit as far as sales commissions goes. I did like set a personal best, and I was really sick during the time, but I had 1 month, and it was this March of 2017 actually, set a massive personal record in terms of commission, but it involved me like coming in early, making
Staying
sure
late.
everything was. I mean, seriously, I was open to close like 3 days a
Yep.
week in the month of March, and by April I hit burnout. I needed vacation time, but didn't have any, and I was still showing up for work and just feeling like crap. And yeah, my check was good, but at what cost?
Yeah.
I was just running to the ground. And then to have one of the higher ups be like, you can do that every time. And I'm sitting there feeling like crap. I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah, no way.
It is
Yeah.
so not worth it. Like, I sacrificed dinner with my kids, like, that entire month just to make some extra scratch.
Just to make a couple extra bucks.
And
Yeah.
it was just a couple extra bucks. Commission is taxed to a point where, like, even though I made an additional $500 to $600 in the actual check with taxes, it was only like $150, $200 more than my usual.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, why did I work that hard?
And you brought up vacation too, and that's another thing about the sales industry that's god awful is
Skimpy on benefits, man.
I mean, well, skimpy on benefits, but also you don't want to take that time off half the time.
No, because then
Yeah.
you're getting a base wage, which for a lot of people is like 8 to 10.
Yep.
And then, so you're missing, because sales it's like a timeshare. Like when your shift that is your timeshare. That is
Yep.
your time to be at the business and try to make as much money as possible. And so, yeah, vacation kind of sucks in sales.
Because you say plan a week-long vacation with the family, not only do you have to set a couple grand aside to do that, but then you also have to account for the fact that you're going to get half a commission check.
Yeah.
In the next one. I mean, yeah, you can bust your ass that next week and try to make as much as you can on it.
You almost have to pay for the vacation twice.
Yep.
Once for the cost of the trip and once to cover all your bills.
And then, it burns you out too when you sit there for 3 days open to close and you see two people the whole time and don't make a sale. Then you finally get a day off and there's 14 lines put out.
Yep.
That aggravates.
14 lines means 14 devices activated. Phones, tablets, whatever it may be. Because naturally, in cellular sales, you wanted to sell devices. Being an agent, though, accessories were the big thing. And because we didn't say the name, really, I think it's fair to say that towards the end, I did blow up at a certain regional manager about how I was sick and tired of our accessories basically turning into a big pile of bullshit.
Oh, yeah, that last swap over, that was right before I left.
Oh?
Or did you swap again?
Because I went from Madison back to Rapids, technically, then back to Point. So this was actually this was probably April or May of this year, and I left in July.
Oh, so this was, yeah.
Yeah, so it's towards the tail end, but I was pissed off about a lot of different things that were going on with the higher-ups, with our accessories. Like, we had the device payment package dealio where basically you got a bunch of accessories, you paid X amount of dollars, and then your bill's a little bit cheaper, that whole thing. And we didn't have cases for the phones. We didn't have tempered glass for the phones. Like...
The 2 items that go with that package, by the way. 2 of the 4 items you get is a case and a screen protector.
But then we had like 5 different battery packs to choose from, and we got like 120 Motorola 5200 milliamp battery packs, and it was like in cheap, dusty ass packaging. Like, how are you gonna move this? It looks like it's from the 90s.
It's still got the old 32-point connection that you used to have on your Motorola W3.
So
you pull the antenna up.
It was garbage. And then for the 4th accessory, we were out of like everything. I mean, it was either somebody spent an extra $40 for an upsell, or they had to get an IOU. So like, I had people paying for the package deal and leaving with like a tempered glass on, and then they were gonna come back next week to pick
your
up
phone doesn't break before that case comes in. Because if you do, not our problem.
And that's the kind of thing that we were putting up with. And it's like the company had just expanded. We were told we were going to have more purchasing power. Where was it?
Yeah.
And so, it got frustrating. And then towards the end, the regional manager came up for a visit. and made a comment to me. By this point I already decided, like, I got to start looking for something else. I'm going to be the toxic guy in the office, which didn't matter because it was me and the manager. Like, I was the staff.
Yeah.
But
just by not being the manager, you were already the toxic guy, even if you're the bubbliest person in the world.
pretty much. And so one of, like, it was either the district manager or the regional manager made, like, kind of a snide remark about my commissions lately. And by this point, I'm a couple weeks into a slump because I just burned myself out with having the flu, setting a record for, like, personal best, and set a store record until actually last month, believe it or not. So July of 2017, I got to reign from March through July. But then, yeah, I snapped. Like, dude's gonna talk crap about my numbers. It's like, yeah, because you beat me down, man. And so I snapped. I was like, how come the people down in the bigger cities are getting these awesome speakers that, Amazon speakers and stuff like that? So smart speakers, all these different gadgets and things that can go with cellular. And they couldn't give me a straight answer. And I'm like, we may live up in the bumblefuck redneck woods or whatever, because central Wisconsin. And I go, but our customers still like nice things once in a while. Why the fuck can't we have some nice things?
Why can't we have nice things? That's the question you usually ask in retail sales.
But so I
around
completely
here.
ripped that shit apart. And then we had a bunch of CPO, certified pre-owned smartphones. Like, 80% of our inventory was certified pre-owned. So used shit that we're trying to pass off as new.
Yeah.
And so I'm making jokes about it being Verizon nice as new, shit like that.
Call it new, call it Verizon.
That's awesome.
So, we have an antique store around here called Call It New, Call It Antiques. So
it was beautiful. I got it. But it just got frustrating to me, and so I'm laying out all this crap that I'm pissed off about, and the regional manager didn't expect it of me because I was usually the bubbly, ha ha ha, let's have fun guy, and so to just turn into this fucking ravaging asshole, just rah.
You should have seen you with hair down to your ass, dressed in black.
Yeah, my metalhead days. I'm gonna try to grow it back out again. We'll see. I might get. The last time I tried, I got frustrated, but you made me lose my train of thought, man. There's a point to that. Not anymore.
You freaking out.
Oh, no, I lost.
No, that happens. It's all right, but you totally should grow the hair back out, man. I thought about doing mine, but I look like strung out Kurt Cobain when I grow out mine. Like, it's bad. Pictures of college, like, not even doing any illicit drugs, and people are like, there's no way you don't do drugs. Like,
that's what people thought about me, though. When I had the long hair, like, I was straight edge, man. Like, I didn't actually go to a drinking party until after I'd already graduated high school.
I didn't go to a drinking party till I was like 14. So I wasn't that straight edge.
Well,
but
I basically grew up in a bar, or like spent a lot.
Yeah, as did I.
So I mean, the urge was never there because it was like always there.
See, I grew up in a bar when I was younger, but then I also grew up on a farm with a bunch of hunters when I was in my later years. So I mean,
was it like a commune or?
Well, no. Dad, my dad,
we hunted this commune.
My dad and three brothers all had farms, so we all had land and we all would hunt together.
That's awesome, actually.
I mean, it's that old Wisconsin. Still hunt? Every once in a while when I can get back, but it was that old Wisconsin.
When you can get
back home to Manitowoc, Wisconsin.
Oh, that's right, Manitowoc.
Yeah, we got a bunch of land out there, and I'll get back every once in a while and hunt. But it goes back to that. I was saying that old Wisconsin saying that I always like to say. 12 years old, you're old enough to hold a gun. You're old enough to hold a beer.
I guess you can't argue that.
And in the middle of nowhere, I mean, that's kind of that mentality that everyone has. You get dad, uncles, all the cousins together hunting. Everyone gets done, does their farm chores, and then you all sit at the cabin and drink a couple beers before you get up at 4 a.m. and do it again.
I'll admit that's why I absolutely love Wisconsin. Like, where we're located is like perfectly located. It's centrally located in the state. It's for the most part, a nice, quiet area. None of the
Yep.
towns are too big. We don't have any major cities
No,
around.
no horribly crazy incidences of law
Fairly safe
breaking.
town.
Yep, yeah.
And but then like the fact that you don't have to drive too far north to get to the Northwoods.
Yep.
Like because the hunting traditions, the fishing traditions, those are alive in me because of the upbringing I had. Like my dad had 8 older brothers growing up. Like you better believe we have fishing trips, we go hunting together.
You have that many kids, you have to hunt and fish because you can't afford to feed them all from the grocery store.
There are stories of Grandpa taking, I can't remember what kind of car. I think he had an old Lincoln, but you know back when they were very sturdily made, no crumple zones. They would take the old boat out and actually look for deer and smoke them.
Yep.
Because it wouldn't do any damage.
Yeah, you see those old vintage 50s, 60s cars. I mean, you go head to head with a semi without a trailer and take that semi out in some of those.
Right? But that's the thing. So, yeah, I love you, Grandma. I'm seeing Grandma on Sunday. But Grandma and Grandpa would drive around, smoke a deer, and then they would, slit its throat, throw it in the trunk, take it home.
Process it up.
Times was tough.
Yep.
It's not poaching if it's
Plus,
your car.
I mean, have you ever had anything better than a good venison steak?
To be honest with you, beef for us is a treat in this household.
Mostly venison for you guys?
It's basically about 85% venison.
I like to use my venison a lot. I like to make like casseroles and hamburger helper style stuff and use the venison instead.
I love it ground.
Yep. Ground venison I absolutely love, and a good venison steak is way better than a beef steak to me.
I like to do 3-day marinades with my venison steak.
Ooh.
God, then it's just super tender.
Now you got me hungry.
Well, I hear you there. But my grill collapsed this summer. It's like I found we've got it set up really nice where we have family members who provide beef because they raise cattle.
Yeah.
And then with our family we fish, so we usually have lake trout, walleye if we can get it. I'm craving walleye. But so fish, deer, cow, like we're basically covered there.
Yep.
I wish I still was in touch with one of my old UPS buddies who had chickens because I'd get eggs from him, like $1 a dozen.
Oh yeah, farm fresh eggs are the
Farm
best.
fresh eggs, $1 a dozen, and then in the fall he would sell me a bunch of chickens ranging, 4 to 8 pounds. He'd cut me a good deal. It's like that was sweet because we were always covered, but now we're missing that chicken.
Yeah, that's how I felt when my parents got rid of all the cows on the farm. Like I used to be able to. Yeah, it was like probably 6 years ago. First I was pissed because they waited till after I was through high school and working all the time to get rid of them. I couldn't have done that when I had a social life in high school.
Right. You're going to do this until we don't have you anymore.
Yeah. And then, then it's like, used to just take like a big cooler home loaded with ice packs, just throw like 10 pounds of beef and pork in there from the cattle and pigs and just bring it back, and I could eat on that for, it's me, so like 3 weeks, so 10 pounds.
I cut a lot of meat out of my diet, but I got to admit I feel much better after eating a venison steak than I do, say, a ribeye.
I'm a steak and potatoes kind of guy.
Me too.
I can't cut meat out of my diet. I'm allergic to chlorophyll, I like to say, which is just a fancy way of saying I don't like vegetables.
I love vegetables, but it's like the longest I went was 3 days when I was like going through my last stage of ketosis or last round of ketosis. And it was like went 3 days without actually having any meat, and like I was craving a New York strip.
Oh yeah.
It's like
I don't think I can make it 3 days. I don't know if I've ever made it 3 days in my life.
I used to actually be kind of a jerk. Like if Jess was making supper and I got home and say it was like vegetarian lasagna or something, I was like, I need to have some meat. But like I make my own jerky when I have it, but it's been slim pickings the last couple hunting seasons. So if somebody gets a deer, they're nice enough to toss me like 35 pounds as long as I take care of the deer.
I'll see what I can do this season because I'm not going to use a full one my whole self. Well, I mean, I will, but I'll be nice, I guess.
Well, if you want to get freaky with it, to be honest with you, what we did. Now, mind you, if this is your first time listening, I live in a trailer park. It's relatively close quarters. And now picture me and my wife. Zach knows my wife. You guys may not. But picture us taking a deer. Like, I took the kids' swings off the swing set, took a rope,
Hung it up.
and hung it up using the kids' swing set.
That's where all ours hang.
And there's like an animal-loving neighbor
Oh, God.
right next door. So when she looks out her living room window, there's this deer hanging by its neck. I felt like such a dick, but I had to go to work.
Yeah, and you got no space other than that. You know, I mean...
Like, I was working at Verizon. When I actually got back to work, I had blood stains on my pants because I went out to the woods to get the deer.
Oh, yeah?
And so it had to hang there until I had a day off to actually cut it. So this poor lady...
We had to watch it all day. Yeah. So now you brought up me making your own jerky and stuff.
Yeah.
So I figured this was a good one. This is the most disgusting thing I have ever heard in relation to venison jerky.
Oh, man.
And it goes back to my old U.S. Cellular days. Worked with a couple guys that we used to hang out all the time, and we'd always have poker nights. So we always go down to my buddy Ty's place, and we'd play poker.
We should get one going.
We'd play poker till 3 a.m, you know, and I'd just get all tore up.
Of course.
And I worked with a kid, nicest guy in the world, just city to the max. I mean, he was a Jewish kid. He was raised in, like, I don't even know what they call this with a school. I can't remember the name. For Jewish kids, where they go to, like, school before, like, their Sunday school and stuff, like...
Heaven.
Yarmulkes and like, and he was just this nice kid, just city. Like his parents had always kept him. Yeah, temple. There you go. There you go. Always kept him, you know, real city. Never hunted or anything. And so we go over to Ty's place, and it's deer hunting season. He had just got his deer, and he had just put some venison in the dehydrator. Get some jerky going. And for anyone who doesn't know, you know, it takes probably 18, 20 hours minimum to get good jerky. And we hit down to the basement. And the other thing about this city kid was 2 beers and he was annihilated. I'm talking giggling, falling on the floor, drunk off of 2 beers.
Oh, man.
And so we're playing poker and we're having a good old time, and we're at it for about 2.5 hours, and he just finished his second beer. And so he's giggling up a storm, and he can't bluff to save his damn life, and we're taking all his money, and it's a good time. And he goes up for beer number 3, and Ty says, "Hey, you want to grab me a beer while we're up there?" He goes, "Yeah, I'll grab you one." He goes, "Hey, and check on that jerky, see how it's doing." So he goes up there. He's up there for like 5-10 minutes. He comes back down. He goes, "Dude, that jerky is not done. It tasted disgusting."
Whoa.
He grabbed a piece off of the dehydrator, 2 hours on it, and took a bite.
Oh, that's mad. Ugh.
And I don't think I've ever laughed that hard in my entire life.
You can tell by the coloring, typically.
You can tell by the fact that it's still raw after 2 hours.
Well, 2 hours, yeah, that should be common sense. But even if you don't know how a dehydrator works, like I have a clear one, so I can just look through the lid and go, nah, it's not there yet. But you can tell by the texture when you touch it, when you look at it.
No, he took a bite.
Oh my God.
And the whole rest of the night, you realize you got CWD now. You got chronic wasting disease. No, and he was so angry. Really? Do I have to go to the doctor, man? He was just losing.
No, you got to go to the DNR, man.
They're going to test and tag you.
He's going to have an earring
tag. He's going to have an ear tag.
Oh my God.
It's one of these CWD humans. Make you go live in a CWD colony with all the other deer.
Oh man, that would be awful. Would that not be one of the creepiest things in the world? Just being stuck in this pen with hundreds of deer with CWD. Chronic wasting disease, by the way.
But yeah, that's my disgusting story for the podcast.
Yeah, that is.
Dude, that's not even close to done. That tasted disgusting.
I mean, other than sushi, eating anything raw, no thanks.
Steak mostly. I like
well, that's
I like
the
mine real
closest
rare.
thing.
Yeah. but not venison steak. Not
Nah.
venison steak. I like that.
And that's
a
why
little
I like to
closer.
marinate them, because venison you want to get a little closer to well done.
Yeah, well, it's so lean it does like to dry out a little.
Yeah.
The more you cook it. It's. I miss playing poker with those guys. It was free money and a laugh.
Free money. So you're saying you won most of the time.
So, oh yeah, you used to get my buddy Nick there, and we could both read people well and count cards, and so we would.
Oh, you dirty.
We would mess with this kid when we'd be heads up against him, and it'd be like, River would flip, and I'd be like, oh, well, I see you paired your queen, but you didn't get anything on that 7. And after about 3 or 4 times a night, he would slam his cards down. You guys are cheating. How do you know what's in my hand? And we would just mess with him the whole time.
You totally got in his head the whole time.
Yeah, then you try to explain it to him. Well, how do you figure it out? Well, I saw your reaction when the queen hit on the turn. Like, obviously you paired your queen. Yeah. I know you were looking, for this.
Well, you worked sales too. You pick up on that stuff.
I said, so it's 7, 8, or 9. Obviously, it's nothing higher than that. So I just took a 1 in 3 guess. I was kind of, you just cheating. Oh my God, I'm leaving.
I'm leaving. I'm gonna walk out.
We do a second buy-in for everyone, only with a second one, and he would beg and beg and beg to get a third one after we. No, man. No, we're not giving you another buy-in. No, man. We're not. All right, I'll take more of your money.
Like against his better judgment.
Well, this is after that second beer, so he doesn't know up from down.
Oh my God. It's too bad you guys didn't have the credit card swipe at that time.
Yeah, I could run it through my square. Zach, you don't own your own business. Why do you have a square just for poker with Nick?
I'm a hustler, yo. That would be incredible, though.
Oh, we could definitely get a game going, though. I've been hankered for some poker lately.
I've got a decent set, but it would be nice to have. So. I kind of want the poker table for recording the podcast, because that'd be pretty tight. I wouldn't mind actually playing a little poker while doing podcast.
And I mean,
you might have just came up with an idea for us, Zach.
Dude, that totally works for me.
A monthly poker cast.
I mean, I've been looking at ways to supplement my income. Poker's a pretty easy way.
Well, it's gonna be tough for me. I'm gonna have a little bit of like buyer's remorse, I guess I'd say. But like, I left a job and took a relatively significant pay cut, and so like, that spontaneous. Oh, that movie looked good. It's only $12 on Amazon Prime. Click. Let's watch it now. It's like, maybe I should rethink spending this money. Like, we even lowered our Verizon data plan just to save $15.
You got a ways to go, though. I stop at the Redbox. Oh, $2.50 for a movie, man. I can't do that shit.
Well, because then you start to think of what happens if something comes up and you can't return it the next day. You're like, I don't want to pay for that twice.
Yeah, you don't want the extra.
$5, man.
I'm not paying again for Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
I don't want to out my wife, but she's actually banned from using Redbox. I love you, honey. But she rented enough movies and then just never returned them. Like, you'd find a couple movies in like her t-shirt drawer while she's putting laundry away. You just find these cases from Redbox in random places.
Yeah. Now you're the proud owner of a movie with a Redbox case.
I mean, we have like probably 35 to 40 Redbox movies. So there was one day we're like, oh, let's hit Redbox up. So she runs to, I think, Walmart, that Redbox, to pick up a movie, and then comes home, and I'm like, where's the movie? She goes, my card didn't work. It said it was rejected or something. So, like, Redbox is like, we're tired of replacing the DVDs you rent.
You're costing us money here.
But I do have to thank her at the same time, because though she spent like $25 a movie, we got some nice Redbox cases.
Yeah. They're sturdy. They're stable.
And they're slim. They're small. They can be tucked in and, out of the way. Whereas full DVD cases are just ridiculously tall.
Oh, yeah. There's no point to it.
I got rid of the cases a long time ago. And then my kids took care of the discs. So So that's pretty cool.
Thanks, kids. I didn't want to watch. I didn't want to watch Batman anyway.
He forgot these. What is he thinking? The cases went out.
It looks like a frisbee. It's a frisbee.
Pretty much. Like, I watched my 3-year-old try to get a movie out of the case one day and just snap the disc in half, getting it out. I'm like, well, I guess I'll try to torrent that one.
Hey, if you already own the movie, it's not illegal.
Right? FBI is like, what the hell, dude? And you just send him a picture. All right, carry on.
You're good. You're good.
Nobody wants to buy that movie twice. But the problem is, it's like my mother-in-law sends the movies home for the kids to borrow. Well, we're supposed to give them back.
Yeah, like that ever works.
No, they always get broken, scratched, go missing. And then you guys, oh, they brought these movies home. It's like, oh, God, I hope there's a sale on those. But it's worth it.
Yeah, well, at least you get movies. Your kids are old enough. Mine being as young as he is, being 21 months old. Like, my mom doesn't send him home with movies. She sends him home with every toy that has ever made the most loud and obnoxious noise ever.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, look, we got 8 toys that don't make noise for Grandma's house. Here's everything with batteries and sound for Dad's house.
We're gonna talk a little dad complaint, huh?
I'm like, you hate me? Like, why do none of yours make noise? Why do all of mine make noise?
No, I'll say pretty much the same thing. Like, my complaint is, we chose to live in a trailer park to save money, because dude,
it's a nice place and it's a good way to save money.
the cost of living is ridiculously low here. Like, I paid off the house like 3 years ago.
Plus, you never have to go outside wearing anything more than a beater.
Need a mustard stain on it, but
Yeah.
but basically it. I mean, for the most part, my neighbors are cool. There's some where, first month we lived here, we get a knock on the door at like 7 p.m. and there's some guy in a wife beater out there like, hey, you got any cigarettes? It's like, yeah, do you not? It's like, I don't know you. Why are you knocking on my door asking for cigarettes? Like, when I lived in town, that never happened.
No. I've never walked over to Mark and Craig's place next door and been like, hey, Craig, I know you roll your own smokes. Can I get one?
See, you at least know their names. You're not just like, hey, guys. I saw you outside smoking one day when I was creepily watching you.
Yes. In my beater.
I was wearing a beater in my beater.
Yeah. But after the digression, going back to the dad complaint, I honestly think with grandparents, it's some sort of like subconscious like revenge, some retribution. Like, you made me listen to all this shit when you were a kid, so now I'm gonna make sure you listen to all of it with your own kid. You're gonna know how I felt 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Back when you were
parents,
5 years old.
Like, when I was a kid, I wanted the bigger toys and stuff like that, and my parents would, more often than not, oblige. But the whole point of us living in a trailer, bringing that subject up, was it's finite space. We got a family of 4 living in like 1,100 square feet. That can get tight. But then my parents' shtick, again, I understand that you're just spoiling your grandchildren. Love you, Mom.
Like good grandparents do.
Yeah. But they get these enormous toys. Like, Hot Wheels Ultimate Garage can hold 50 vehicles. You're just like, that's a quarter of their fucking bedroom, man.
There's 100 of our 1,100 square feet.
That's exactly it. Like, we don't even have a fucking garage, and this is the size of one. But
Yeah.
But I mean, they're cool toys and stuff like that. But so we both have huge families, and they both give toys and toys and toys. And so, like, we went, once a month we go through and we grab all the broken ones and toss them out. We went through and we had to make 3 rounds of getting rid of the baby toys and then the toddler toys. And they still have way too much.
Oh, yeah. Like, I've got a friend whose kid is like 6, and he was just bitching the other day about how his grandparents got one of those motorized Hot Wheel things, the big ones you can drive around. And he's like, kid's got a nicer car than we do.
I know, right?
It's like, here I'm driving a 93 Honda, and my kid's got a monster truck out back. Like, what the hell? Like,
It is pretty true, man. My kid got an electric scooter and a real scooter, like Razor scooter style.
Yeah.
So naturally, he loves the electric one more, which has like half a horsepower, because we never keep the battery charged enough. But like yesterday, I could hear it coming. It was going on for like 15 seconds, and I'm like, when the fuck is this kid gonna come out of the hallway? And then he slowly comes across my
10th of a mile an hour.
It was. He's got his helmet on. He's proudly going. It's like you could have walked there in a tenth of time, man.
Yeah.
But so the Razor scooter he got, which I was like, awesome. That gives him something other than his bike to play with outside. Doesn't want to use it.
No, it doesn't have a motor on it.
Exactly it.
It's like being an adult and riding a bicycle when you can just go get a motorcycle. Like,
yeah, but I don't know if I'd get a motorcycle at this point.
Who wants to pedal when you can just turn a handle?
Well, see, that's where you can just kind of like mechanize a bicycle. I worked with a guy at UPS that did that.
Only ride it downhill.
Well, hey, he was able to get up to like 18 miles an hour. So you'd hear him coming to UPS. Come in with his bicycle.
Lawnmower motor on it.
Pretty much. But I mean, 1 to 2 gallons of gas. Tops, if you're lucky. And if you lived close enough to work, you saved a lot of money. Working at night, you're no worries of getting run over.
Yeah. Fiscally responsible.
It's fiscally responsible. Well, see, I thought about getting a moped or something like that, a scooter out here, but I cross train tracks. I'm on basically county roads.
Yeah, you don't want to be putting along at 25 on your Vespa at 3 a.m.
Right, dude. I drive past dump trucks. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, making deals with God every time you pass a truck on the highway. If you let me live through this one. I don't know if you've ever passed a truck like at 60 miles an hour on one of those things. Like,
no. I bet you kind of crap your pants a little.
You're lucky to stay on the road and see some of those big rigs.
Is it just fear, or does the wind blow you?
The wind gets you.
I bet.
Yeah, I mean, you've been on the highway in a car when a truck drives by you.
You still get...
It still gives you a little jolt.
It's like a wind slap. You're like...
Some of those nicer Vespas, you take that restrictor plate off, you can get those bad boys up to 45.
See, I wouldn't feel comfortable going that fast on a Vespa.
Yeah, you're real close to the ground with nothing to stop you.
Yeah, at the very least, I'd wear very good shoes. Because I can't remember... I think I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast when they were talking about motorcycles. And it's like, you see guys on, like, crotch rockets that have a full-faced helmet. Really expensive full-faced helmet, but then they're wearing, like, tennis shoes.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
If you go into a slide, that tennis shoe is going to get tore up real fast, break your ankle, all kinds of stuff.
The only guy on a Vespa with $500 Harley Davidson boots.
I'm halfway there, brother.
You go out with your chaps.
Doing like 20, just good thing I had chaps on. It saved my jeans.
As you almost fall off and catch it with your foot and just walk next to it.
Oh, for whatever reason, that reminds me of a story where somebody was riding a motorcycle. This is from when I was working at Verizon. Somebody was riding a motorcycle and ran over their prepay phone. For people that don't know, a prepay phone is that really cheap piece of crap phone that you can get so you can say you have the service, but where we live, it's really not that great.
It's the Verizon version of Cricket or Boost Mobile for the $5 basic phone plan.
Pretty much. And so the phones are cheap as shit because they're usually like $50 a pop, though you usually buy them at 80. But so they had run this cheap phone over with their motorcycle, like right down the middle, dude. Like they must have been aiming.
Yeah.
But so they completely crushed this $50 phone. It was a Moto E.
Oh, yeah.
And so they came in and they were working with Katie at the time, one of our colleagues, and they were trying to figure out how to process a warranty claim. A warranty claim on a phone that costs like $50 tops, and they ran over with a motorcycle.
Oh, you mean an insurance claim?
No.
How do you warranty something that's been run over?
Do the math on that. That's the point, man. They're adamant about filing a warranty claim because there is a warranty on that. Like, there's no motorcycle coverage on that warranty.
I still got 5,000 miles on my car warranty. I'm going to go get T-boned by a semi and see if warranty will cover it.
Right?
Hey, guys, I need a new one. I got into an accident. Is this covered under electrical issues? It won't start.
Exactly it. It's, I mean, at that point, it's almost adorable, you know? That's where you find your groove and how to deal with people, because you did face, like, whatever came through the door that day, if anything, which was the sad part. But we were both happier for having gotten away from that kind of situation.
I think I lost most of the weight just off of not stress eating.
To be honest, yeah. And how often did you, like, you want to go sit down and have a bite to eat, and then the next thing you know, you can't?
Yeah, no, so you shovel half of a large pizza into your gullet in 3.5 seconds just to make sure you get time to eat.
Yeah.
Even if you don't taste it.
And then you feel like crap the rest of the day because you ate too fast.
And because you're working in retail.
Like that alone. It's like when you walked in each day, you just put on these chains.
Yeah.
Like, these heavy chains will hang around my neck.
You just, like, man, I could be doing something so much better with my life, like garbage man or prostitute.
I started saying shit like that towards the end, too. Like, it's not busy. We're just chilling out. What's your problem with being here? It's like, because my job here is to make money, but nobody's coming through the fucking door. So, I mean, there's literally, like, 12 other meaningless things that I could be doing that I would feel more gratitude over. Yeah. You know, you feel bad about making shitty comments like that, but
there were solo days there where I honestly considered just bringing in the guitar. And they're like,
why not?
Just sitting in the back, just like jamming out.
Because, you know, you still want to do your job,
Yeah.
but it sucks that bad.
Just customers come in. Sorry, sir, I'll be with you after I'm done with Stairway to Heaven.
Do you know what I resorted to doing? Because, you know, our store was very popular for getting phone calls. Because of the relation of where customers were, and there weren't that many stores in the area. I would end up just pulling the batteries out of one of the phones and then putting the other one on silent when I was working by myself, open to close. It started because on my first open to close shift, after somebody left and we didn't get a replacement, I got somewhere in the neighborhood of like 20 phone calls before 1 o'clock. And I was like, no, this is not happening. You know, I'm already looking for a different job. I'm not going to let this job get to me anymore.
So I'm just going to take the phone off the hook.
So I went Office Space on it, man. I just was like, I tried to go carefree, try to sell people on stuff, but you'd have people that came in, they're like, oh, well, I found this case for $5 online. And I found this tempered glass for $5, and I found this.
It's good because we paid 99 cents for it. Now we're going to charge you 40.
Yeah. That's what killed me, is the insane markups in... I mean, sure, it's in a lot of retail. But...
It is in a lot of retail, but, you know, you got to get your owner that extra boat. His 2 boats aren't good enough.
But see, that's something where, like, I feel like deep down, you know, I meant to be my own boss. I don't know if you feel that.
I do some days, and other days I'm like, wow, I'm fucking lazy. I definitely should not be my own boss.
I mean, you get waves like that because, you know, there's ups and downs in life. And it's like I just came through like a down rut. Like, with previous employer, I was like, there's just no way I'm going to want to do this. It's going to make somebody miserable in this environment, so I'm going to bow out of it. And I was like... That was kind of stupid to bow out of a job and not have a backup plan. But, like, I made my phone calls. You know, networking is important. And so made a few phone calls, got a few leads, and then called it good. Took 2 weeks off. Because, like,
2 week vacation is always good.
to me, the price of happiness, man.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
And I think that's exactly it. I mean, a job is a job.
Yeah.
99% of people don't walk out their door every morning going to love their job, excited to go in and do it, But a lot of people do hate their jobs. You just got to find one that, it's going to pay your bills.
Yep.
It's going to allow you the happiness outside of work that you want, the family and everything. And doesn't make you want to shoot yourself every time you go in.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm looking for right now. I mean, I accepted a job that, like, overall, it sounds relatively boring. And to me, that sounds fucking awesome.
Exactly. Look at my job. My job is boring. Computer all day, sit there, stare at a screen, enter numbers, do math, all that fun stuff. I enjoy my job reasonably as far as jobs go,
It's busy work, right?
But, yeah, it keeps the day moving, and you know what? It affords me the opportunity to go home at the end of the night and sit down on the couch, play my video games, play a guitar, go walk around.
On a reasonable schedule.
On a reasonable schedule. Yeah, I mean.
That's what I'm looking forward to. I'm, going to, like, that 7 to 4 kind of schedule, half days on Fridays.
Oh, that's a nice schedule. You got me beat, that's for sure.
Well, we'll see. But to me, that's just an awesome schedule. Like,
yeah.
I got into arguments with the manager at Verizon about this because he was a guy who always worked weekends, and I didn't work weekends for a long time. Like, I'd pick up a part-time job where I'd work weekends, and then, like, I'd go back to the machine shop, and then I didn't work weekends for like 3 years, and then I dove into, like, Pizza Hut.
Yeah, you get used to a certain level of comfort.
So that made it extra miserable for me. Like, oh, what are you doing? I'm sitting at Verizon. There are no customers here. Well, where's the wife and kids? They're at Cave of the Mounds right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's nice with your new schedule. You can get up with the kids in the morning, put them to sleep at night.
Yep.
When I have my son, that's dinner at 7, bed at 8. I'm to bed at 8:30. I'm up at 6:30 in the morning. He's up at 7:30 in the morning. Pancakes, whatever. You get to spend that time. You get to be there when they go to bed, be there when they wake up.
That's huge.
And be there in the middle is the big thing. We get to go for walks on weekends. In between breakfast and lunch, we always go for like a 4-mile walk when the weather's nice, just around town with the stroller. Over to the park for an hour. And then lunch, nap, and then we both nap. And then back out for a walk or over
Naps
to do something else.
Naps are so good.
It's the best part about it. Well, it's not the best part about having kids, but
I just
it certainly
recently
goes a long
started
way.
taking advantage of that. But what upsets me is when, like, I could actually go for a nap and the kids refuse.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, because I want a nap, so you stop it.
Mine's well behaved and he's young enough that when you put him down for a nap, he goes down for a nap usually. Like, he doesn't for his mom all the time. She says, like, he didn't even want to take a nap. And I'm like, well, he took like a 3.5-hour nap for me yesterday, so I'm pretty ecstatic about that. I got to take a 2-hour nap and get cleaning done around the house.
You are lucky that you have one.
Yes.
I mean, one day my wife and I will be grateful that we had two so close together. But at this point in time, it can be a handful, man.
Yeah, and you got to watch out. Like, you look at my parents. I'm the oldest of 5.
Mm-hmm.
Just yesterday, they moved my youngest sister off to college. Now they're like, we don't even know what we're going to do with ourselves. Like, my mom is like half freaking out,
Yeah.
She had me when she was 19, right before she turned 20.
Was that right?
Yeah, and I'm 30 now, and my sister is 8, just turned 18. So that's
a gap.
22 years that she has not been without a child in the house.
Yep.
Like, she's taking my kid in 2 weekends. Just she's like, I just need a kid around. Can I take him on September 16th? I was like, yeah.
I hope she can manage it okay.
I think she'll be fine.
Because the empty nester feeling, like...
She's got my dad, too, and my youngest sister's in UW Green Bay, and then Eau Claire and Winona State, Minnesota. So, like, they stopped in today. They took the other one to Eau Claire today and unloaded all their stuff. So they stopped back through Manitowoc, or on their way to Manitowoc, saw us, you know. Then they went to Green Bay to check how my sister was after getting her stuff moved in. Like, I think they'll be all right at it, but...
They just drove across the state all over?
So, yeah, they went to Green Bay yesterday and dropped my sister off with all her stuff. Then they went back down and packed up all my other sister's stuff. Went over to Eau Claire, dropped all her stuff off.
That's a long haul, man.
Came back, saw me in Stevens Point, and then went back over towards Green Bay, Manitowoc.
Wow.
Yeah, it's basically like 900 miles, like, round trip.
No thanks, man.
Like, between all the zigzagging and everything, like...
The longest drive for me was Stevens Point, Wisconsin to Rapid City, South Dakota. I did that solo and had like 5 CDs, so you better believe I had all 5 memorized by the time I got there.
I did Point to Bozeman, Montana.
Ooh.
In one shot.
Are you a one-upper, man?
23 and a half hours.
That's ridiculous.
No, it was for a bachelor party for a friend.
That's a long haul. Did you do it by yourself, or did you have a crew?
I had a co-pilot for it, so...
That makes it a little bit better.
Yeah. I mean, I drove the whole way, because I'm kind of weird, about driving, other people driving.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I'm strange like that. But it was a long haul. It really was. But I mean, you just chain smoke the whole way and a couple road beers. No, not road beers.
Well, sometimes.
So I mean, you can make some good trips. I trying to think of who it was. Someone said they went like cross country with like a 1 hour nap, like 2 hour nap in the middle, and I was just like, no.
Oh no, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
But when you head like down
Who would
through
wanna
Iowa,
do that?
like it's not so bad because you can stop at come and go gas stations.
Yeah.
You can get the big 64-ounce come and go coffee mugs, and
Yep. Trust me, I'm aware.
many a trip out to Colorado.
I have not gone to Colorado yet. See, my wife and I are still in a position where the idea of us like taking vacations or trips is like too luxurious for our style. So we need to do some getaways, but it's like we're very fiscally responsible, we'll say.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that either. And it's one of those things where in my college days I like to go on and do stupid trips and stuff when I probably shouldn't have been. I should have been studying and things like that.
For me, it wasn't going on trips so much as like going to concerts.
Yeah. Oh, fair share. Those,
Going to a Friday night show in one city, going home, taking a nap, waking up, and then going to Chicago.
It was never that hardcore.
Like the record was, I think 3 concerts in 4 days or something like that for us.
Yeah, no, I maybe got to 1 or 2 a year that were like a ways away. Like I think the closest I ever got was Foo Fighters with Weezer in Chicago, and then like 3 weeks later I took my girlfriend at the time to see Collective Soul with Better Than Ezra.
Which is still solid, man.
Yeah, well, but I enjoy my concerts, but it's that same thing like you feel with trips. Like I go on occasion to see them, but
I would love to go on these trips, but it's like I can't justify like coming home and being like, okay, now there's that much left.
It's hard to justify it as you get older in any way, shape, or form. I mean, even just like the concert. I mean, I know you guys don't go to nearly as many as you guys used to with the kids and everything.
I haven't been to a concert, and she hasn't even gotten to go to a concert with me, like an official concert.
Yeah.
But I haven't been to a concert in probably 3 years now.
I'll just say I
used to go to probably 12 to 14 a year.
Saw him with a friend down in Madison in March, and that was probably the first one in 3 or 4 or 5 years.
Who was it?
I saw Cold War Kids.
I haven't heard of them.
They're kind of an indie. They're an interesting kind of band, but a friend of mine
I would
down
have
there
thought you
wanted to
would have
see
seen 21 Pilots when they were in Madison.
Those were expensive. These were at the
That's what stopped me. I was in Madison during the concert.
Cold War Kids at the Majestic was like $32 a ticket. So that was very reasonable. But still, like, that was hard for me to even drop the money on, like, to go see a band that I really wanted to see. There's another one coming up on September 25th at the Majestic in Madison for Highly Suspect.
I've heard of them.
Excellent band, real heavy rock and blues style. And same thing, like tickets are like $32. I'm like, oh, but it's a Monday night, so I'd have to take a half day on Monday, and I'd have to take a half day in the morning on Tuesday.
Because you don't want it to inconvenience yourself.
Yeah. Well, and, my
that
bedtime...
may sound like wispy or something like that,
Yeah.
but no, it's like, if you're going to go to a concert, you don't want to be, like, miserable the next day.
Yeah, I go to bed usually around 10 o'clock every night. My alarm goes off at 5:30 in the morning.
And those concerts will run up to midnight.
Yeah, those are better there. They're usually only till like 11, but for those of you who don't know Wisconsin, Madison's about 2 hours from where we are.
Yeah.
So that show ends at 11. By the time you get out of parking, it's 11:30. By the time you get home, it's 1:30 in the morning, and that's if you don't stop. That's if you just take the whole way straight through.
Yeah.
And then the alarm goes off at 5:30, and you are just a miserable bastard the entire night.
Well, yeah, because you may get home at 1:30, but then you got to stretch out, because if you dive right into that bed, you're going to be cramped up.
Yeah.
You're going to want to put your bag or your whatever back in town, because you always bring something.
Yeah.
A light snack. I mean...
Sandwiches.
I've done that, man. When we had we went to a 12-hour metal show, and it was like, food there's can be really expensive, and we spent $90 on tickets. So let's just bring a cooler full of sandwiches and water.
We did roast beef sandwiches with chips when we did the Monomarth show at Station 4 in Minneapolis.
I'm still envious that you saw Monomarth. Still in my top 5 favorite bands. Dark Tranquility kind of creeped into there.
It was a great show, you got to prioritize that spending, It's like, well, we could do some more shots, or we could have to pay for food. Let's just bring sandwiches and pay for shots.
There you go. The sandwiches are ultimately cheaper than the food there. A lot of it's fried stuff too, so I mean, like, it's delicious, but that cost.
Not before a 120-degree venue of metalheads moshing. You do not want cheese curds in your belly for that.
No, God, no.
Especially when you put beer on top of it.
It does. Well, then if you're wearing the natural metal attire, you're wearing a black T-shirt.
Yeah.
I remember being at the first Mayhem Fest that they got going in. It was in Chicago in the secondary stage called the Jägermeister stage, where Machine Head was headlining.
Oh, great.
Was out on this big black slab of asphalt.
Just
so it's
radiating heat.
It's like 85 degrees outside, and then you go stand there to watch Machine Head, and it's like, it's 110. And you're packed in with a bunch of people.
Yep. Assholes to elbows.
Oh, God. So by the time Machine Head was done with their set, I had like half dreadlocked hair. It was just miserable. One guy had ripped a chunk out the first time. Actually, no. That was the second time I punched somebody in the face at a concert. I'm headbanging to Halo by Machine Head. Halo's an awesome song. One of my favorites. And as I'm headbanging, I just feel this jerk on my head. And then intense pain. Somebody just ripped a chunk of my hair out of my head. So I turn around to see this guy, just his hand is covered in my hair, all tangled up in his hand. And he's looking kind of grossed out. Doesn't he? I kind of sucker punched him. I just immediately got mad and fucking gave him a left hook right to the face. He never saw it coming.
It's a natural reaction when you have a chunk of your hair ripped out of your dome.
And so it was just like, ah, God. Still had an awesome time at the show, but by that point I was slightly irritated.
Yeah. Well, you feel bad sometimes, those kinds of shows. We were at Children of Bodom at the rave. I broke a dude's nose on accident. I was right up on the rail, having a good time and stuff, and this dude kept pulling me from behind and kept trying to pull me back off of the rail and pull me back. And I kept shrugging him off, and he kept doing it, kept shrugging him off, and eventually I just kind of wanted to warn him and threw an elbow back a little bit and crunch. And, I felt like an asshole about it, but at the same time I'm like, you're not getting my spot on there. I'm a tiny dude at this point. It took a lot of energy to get all the way up here across all these big guys.
Yeah, I got really good at that, man. When I was 150 pounds, 5'2", I could start at the back of the room.
Yep.
And within 2 songs, I was at the front.
I used to find the biggest guy at the back of the room and just tell him to use me like a wedge. I'd just stick my shoulder between 2 guys and have them just push me and then follow me.
There were ways you could negotiate.
Yeah.
That's how you made friends, though, man. It was great.
Or you start a mosh pit. And then when it breaks right before everything collapses, you run through and take a guy's side on the spot on the other side.
Yep.
That's the go-to.
A bunch of people get punched in the face.
Wait for everything to settle down, start another one a little further ahead of you, take the spot.
I'll admit, like, I look back on the shows I went to fondly, but the idea, like, if I went to the Rave, the Eagles Ballroom in Milwaukee, if I was actually in the Rave, I don't think I would take a general admission seat anymore.
No.
Or ticket.
I think my buddy RJ said it best. We went to see Taking Back Sunday, March of last year. And we got the balcony seats. We went the VIP seats. And
it seems well worth it.
Yeah, and one of our other friends was kind of mocking us for it, and he looked at him and he said, I have circled the sun 31 times in my life. I reserve the right to sit down and enjoy a show I want to see.
Exactly. I'm right there with you.
You know, I'm 31 years old. I reserve to enjoy a show. And we're looking down on all these kids, you know, in this big thing, and we're all like, thank God we're up here, because
I would be
I'd be agitated, sweaty, and probably in jail for beating an underager on accident. Like,
yeah, like, we're old enough to the point where, like, having somebody else's armpit on our face is not fun anymore.
Yeah, it's not.
It was never great.
It's not really that enjoyable outside of the bedroom.
Armpit fetish. But yeah, I'm right there with you, because, like, there was one show I went to, I don't remember who it was, but they had, like, undersold the balcony seats in the Rave. And so for, like, $5 more, we were able to get up there. And I was like, Jesus Christ, like, I want to be up here every time.
Yeah, well, and
Opeth. It was Opeth.
And you got a personal bar up there. I mean, you don't have to wade through 2,000 people to go get a drink in the bar. Like, you get
it
a
wasn't
nice
even
little
the
one up
wait
there.
for the bar that I minded, because, again, I'm small. I can, sneak up in there and get a drink within 2 minutes. But it was just like, I would have to, if I can justify spending the money, I have to have, like, a VIP or balcony seat for something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because the idea of being pushed, I love to be front and center. I don't want to have bruised ribs the next day at work.
I used to be ungodly sore after all of those shows at age 22, 23. I would die at age 30. Like,
exactly.
Like, it used to be fun to wake up in the morning and be like, dude, I can't turn my head left.
Yeah.
Like, I have a 4-inch bruise across my chest from the 2x4 that was the rail at this tiny venue,
Right.
you know. Like, now I that would crush ribs. This is like,
I've seen some real stuff, you know. Like, the worst my ribs ever were was when I saw Seven Dust.
oh, I bet.
The crowd surge was so hard that it hurt to breathe for like 4 days. Ugh. It's like, you can really put your body through hell at these shows. And I'm to the point where I still love the music, but especially where I had worked with bands, like, I would hang out in the basement with these bands and watch them play. Like, I don't want to go from having, like, that VIP viewpoint to going to standing next to sweaty teenagers.
Yeah.
Well, not standing next to, but, like, on top of.
Yeah, and, you know, especially, you know, now, I mean, it's getting harder and harder in old age to get all the way up to the front.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, you're 5'2". If you're not up at the front, there's probably some 6'3" asshole in front of you, and you're just staring.
I didn't want to say it, but yeah, every time.
Yeah, it's awful. I mean, I'm not a short guy, and I usually can't see if I'm halfway back in the crowd. You know, it's,
Right.
If we ever go to a show like that, I'll keep you on my shoulders.
You're so kind. I promise to lose 20 pounds before we do that.
I promise to put on a little weight so I make a stable base.
But yeah, I do want to go to shows again, but it's just the whole money aspect. Like, I was able to go backstage at certain shows because of the work I was doing, and it's like, it's hard to go from that to, like, paying to be in general admission again.
Well, and even these $30 tickets and things, they're not $30 because you're going to Milwaukee on a 5-hour round trip, or Madison on a 4-hour round trip that you're paying for gas for, and food. I mean, even if you're bringing food, you know, it's still
spending money.
You're still, you know, it's the ticket's $30, but it still costs you probably $50 round trip to get down there and back.
And what's the golden rule about going to a quality show?
I don't know.
Got to leave with some merch.
Fair point.
If like with Opeth, I had to get their tour shirt. I loved Opeth, and that was I had seen them right before they were putting out their last true metal album, and then they slipped into the indie stuff, which I still respect Opeth for what they're doing, but I just don't jive with it as much.
Yeah, well, that's understandable. Bands mature and take different sounds, yeah.
I mean, they took a sharp left.
Yeah.
But for them, that was the direction they needed to go.
There's a lot of bands that their first and second album were the best thing I had ever heard, and their third album was, what the hell are you guys doing? Yeah,
Well, you listen to Mastodon at all?
So, I have listened to quite a bit of Mastodon, but I haven't heard anything new.
I loved Mastodon. They got better and better, but it seemed like Crack the Sky was such a good album. I think that one came out in like 2011.
Yeah, that was an earlier one. That was 2010, 2011, I want to say.
It's the only vinyl I have left. But, of course, I don't have a record player anymore. The kids saw to that. But basically, I loved that album. That was like the pinnacle of Mastodon's sound. And The Hunter, and then the following album or two, it just seemed like they could never get back up to that point because they had achieved such a high level of quality and greatness.
Everyone, peaks and plateaus. Musicians, people.
Their other albums are good, but you can tell, like, they had to take it in a different direction because with that particular sound, they had already killed it. They crushed it.
Yeah. Well, that's part of being an artist, too. As an artist, it's hard. Excuse me. As an artist, it's hard to put out the same thing over and over again. If you're a true artist, you want to test yourself. You want to push your limits in different directions and see where you can go with it. See what kind of different things you can do.
Oh, exactly. And that's why it's tough when you see somebody online like talking about somebody who took the time to make a movie or put a new song out. Hell, even this podcast. If somebody were to go on Twitter and be like, hey, your podcast sucks, I'd be like, thanks for your time, man. There's always going to be somebody out there that's going to be like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
And so I veered off again. But yeah.
Yeah, you're always going to have haters.
You're always going to have haters, and so just live it up, man. What was the last thing you said?
Even though if only one or two people enjoy it, it's one or two people who are enjoying it.
Oh, exactly. I'll be honest, man. The whole point of this podcast is pretty selfish to me. Yeah. It's just I'm married, got 2 kids. It's a good excuse for me to designate some time where I can just sit down and shoot the shit with people. Sometimes it's, a more defined topic. Sometimes it's just shooting the shit with people that are conversationalists. Man, you used to work sales. We could take anything and turn it into a conversation if we really wanted to.
Take this podcast for instance.
Exactly. We still haven't figured out what we want to talk about.
Yes. We're just keeping this rolling until we get a good topic going. Until we get something real coming up.
But no, man,
it's
something I love doing, and maybe it becomes a secondary revenue source one day.
Yeah, and some people, musicians especially too. Some people play for their fans, write music for their fans. Some people, as the fans say, "Oh, we didn't like that." Fuck you! I make music for myself.
Yeah,
I enjoy doing this. So this is what I want, so I'm going to do it.
It's cool in the times we live in with social media, though. How there's so many different avenues that people can go down. Some of the popular indie stars were basically doing basement and living room shows across the country.
Yeah.
They did not do a formal concert. It was all hey, Minneapolis, I'm going to be in the area. Who's got a big enough living room for 20 people?
Exactly. And it's really kind of diversified everything in music, too. There are bands I listened to, 10, 15 years ago. And people are like, who the hell is this? Now they got radio singles on, the local rock station or the local, pop station because, thanks to social media and different, music platforms and things, it's more easily spread.
It's almost harder to find, though, at the same time, because there's so much of it out there.
It can be.
If you've already reached your fan, no big deal.
I have a distinct advantage in that I listen to music for 8 to 10 hours a day at work, so I have the opportunity to sift through
Yeah.
massive piles of shit to find the few, good ones.
Yeah.
But I mean now, it's so much more out there. It's so much more in depth, like what you can see. That I find a lot more bands nowadays just from driving to work and hearing something on the radio and being like, oh, I like this. Pulling it up on YouTube and finding out like I like the entire rest of the album, or I like 3 of their other albums.
You get
Like,
that from the radio?
so every once in a while, if you find like rock 94.7 and things, like
Because I honestly haven't listened to the radio in a while.
yeah, like Highly Suspect, one of my favorite bands. I said that show on the 25th. Heard their first single on the radio like a year and a half ago. I was like, wow, I really enjoy this song. Like heard it like 3 or 4 more times. When like I really enjoy this. Went on YouTube. Picked up the album the next day.
Yeah.
Every once in a while you find those things. Yeah, you're gonna hear a lot of crap in the middle, but no one's ever gonna like everything that they put on a radio station. No one's ever gonna like everything that's featured on iTunes or on this site or that site.
No.
I mean, there's so much diversity in all of it now that you can like 99 of the same bands as someone, dislike 4,000 of their bands.
Yep.
It's all personal preference.
Yeah, and see, that's why it became tough for me to actually find things to talk about or like make decisions on, because it was like I forced myself eventually to become so open-minded that like, say I'm downtown with somebody and we see somebody walk past with a blue mohawk and they're like, oh, look at that. It's like, yeah, what about it? It's like, I don't care. Like, that person chose to do that. Whatever you choose to do, look like, say, whatever. I became so relaxed and open-minded to that it's like, what do you think of this? To each their own.
It's a tolerance that unfortunately isn't reciprocated by most of the country. Like,
yeah, it's.
I mean, it's one of the most divided. It's the most divided time in the history, since the Civil War.
Most polarizing time.
Yes, that's what I was looking for. And
you're welcome.
I appreciate that.
I'll be here all night.
And probably, for the rest of the time you live here too.
Ouch.
But yeah, and it's now I forgot where I'm going with it. Thanks, asshole.
Yes.
So it's one of those times where controversy is just everything, from the color of your hair to the piercings to the tattoos, all the way to your gender and whether or not you like the Packers or Dub Bears.
No, Dub Bears. Yeah, it's sad that everything is so polarized, but then when I see certain news outlets showing a picture of a tweet and then being like, oh, here's an article about this. It's like, it's a single fucking tweet. How did you write 3 paragraphs about this Twitter war?
165 characters or less.
140, isn't it?
Is it? I don't use Twitter. I thought it was 165, but
140, I think.
you could very well
I
be
use
correct.
Twitter for the podcast.
Oh, that's nice.
We're almost up to 7,000 followers.
I used to use it at US Cellular to randomly vent about shitty customers. That was the only time I ever used it for like 3 weeks. I would just go out back, smoke a cigarette, and bitch and moan about people and
It was just
140 characters or less, I guess.
It was just your vent.
Yeah,
like one person read it
it was my my e-diary
for the whole world.
for the whole world, except I didn't have a single follower.
None?
I used it for like 3 weeks in 2010.
Yeah, but dude, I have like almost 7,000 followers.
Do you really?
Yes. And that's actually an insignificant amount. Like, you can see nobodies with 150,000.
I'm strange though. Like, I don't want people following me.
Well, it's for the podcast. So
for the podcast, that's
it's
right.
under the Rawcast AD banner.
You're talking to the guy who...
I don't have a personal account.
Yeah. You're talking to the guy who hasn't even made a Facebook post in over a year and a half.
Got a solid record going there, pal. Something to be proud of.
Like, if it wasn't for memes, I wouldn't have Facebook.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. There's a couple of people I talk to, but I'm strongly considering taking Facebook Messenger off. Because one thing I realized, to wrap it all the way back around to us talking about cellular, I spend way too much time on this damn thing. it got to the point where these people were coming in and buying their 12-year-olds iPhones and stuff like that. And I was ready to like lash out and be like, these are poison. They're toxic. Because they're so highly addictive.
They are. I mean, it's the studies and things on like dopamine and like serotonin like production. Like getting a like is equivalent to like what do they say? I'm trying to remember. Is getting a like is like the equivalent to
It's like getting a hug
like
or something.
yeah, it's like or like flirting like.
Yeah.
Where like you get that same dopamine and serotonin release like that you get
Like
from,
they winked
like,
at you and you're like
human physical interaction simply by making a post and someone clicking the like button.
Yeah.
And so kids aren't looking for like social physical interaction and like to actually hang out with friends because they get everything they need chemically.
They're looking for that statistical satisfaction.
Yeah, I mean you get everything they need chemically from their screen.
Yep. And I mean, it's sad because I do so much with my device, but it's when there is quicksand. When you find yourself scrolling through Facebook or a meme website, if you're doing that longer than like 20 minutes, if there's nothing better to do, maybe you should find a hobby.
Yeah, there's always something better to do, you know,
Yeah.
like my phone dies almost every day. Like I can't have it on me at work, so it stays in my car.
Yeah.
So it just in the parking garage will almost die every day. So for like 3 hours after I get home at night, like I don't have a phone to play on, and it's wonderful. Because you know what I do from 9:30 till 10 o'clock before I fall asleep? Scroll and scroll and scroll.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? Why do I need to be doing this? Oh, there's a funny Biden meme. Oh, that's cute. Oh, there's 20 posts about people's kids and things that they ate. Like, am I really getting anything
That's
like
a nice picture of
rewarding
chicken.
out of it? Yeah.
Well, that's
Every
the thing.
once in a while, you see a cute chick in a bathing suit, and you're like, score. But
It's just, again, sifting through.
and it's
It's like reading a newspaper about people you know. And, I mean, all the power to them. That's what's important in their life or what they decided to post. But, like, 80% of it, I just go, well, you know, if it's a picture of your kid, oh, cute kid, you know, I'll like that. Nice. But half the time I'm like, I got nothing substantial out of this.
yeah, and I don't have an issue with it per se. I mean, if you're at home, you're sitting your ass on the couch, and you want to scroll through Facebook.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's no more mind numbing than the TV I watch on endless loop on Netflix. You know what I mean? But like, I just see kids out in public nowadays, like even like friends and stuff. We go out to dinner and I have to steal everyone's phone and like put it in a car because you're sitting around the dinner table not even having a conversation. You're just. And then every once in a while you see someone send a text message and someone across the table giggles and you're like, you're 2 goddamn feet away.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to punch you in the face.
I'll admit, they will not be named, but I've had a small handful of people who have come over to hang out, and they spent enough time on their phones while we were having a conversation that they are no longer invited over.
They're not coming back.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to have you over to my house and take up my like personal private time to sit on my couch and do the same shit you would do on your couch.
Yeah. Call me old fashioned, but if I'm going to have someone to hang out with, we're going to hang out.
So basically that ties in with getting a little bit older in the matter of respect and
Yeah.
intellectual awareness kind of thing. So we just discussed cellular being the problem and with us getting older. I have a feeling you and I are going to be, you know, doing this monthly, just complaining about getting older, man.
Just a vent. Just.
Because I don't know if you're aware, but we just passed the 2-hour mark a minute ago.
Nice.
But
and that's quite the digression and all the different tangents. And
it's
2
all
hours.
about getting older, digression, tangents.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is the first full-length conversation we've had in a long time. And I don't care if it didn't make any sense to anybody else. The fact is, I had a good time talking about this
As
stuff.
did I.
So, you are welcome anytime, my friend.
I'd love to come back anytime.
And for the rest of you, if you were not smoking weed beforehand, you're probably lost. Try again tomorrow.